My name's Master Sean Pearson, and this is the video Dojang. In this episode of the video Dojang, we're going to talk about skipping and stepping, specifically the terminology that goes along with them. In a lot of martial arts schools, an instructor will simply tell a student to skip or step, not explaining exactly what type of skip and what type of step they're talking about. This creates frustration in both the instructor and the student. Within Shin or Kwan, we have a variety of names that we associate with each of the different techniques of skipping and stepping. And that's what this video is all about, are those names and how they apply to the different techniques. To start off, let's talk about our skipping. Our skipping names always start with the leg that moves first. And in this case, we're not talking about a right or a left leg, we are talking about a front or rear leg. For example, if the skip name says front leg and then the rest of it, it means that we're going to be moving our front leg first. If it goes rear leg and then the rest of the name, it means we're going to move the rear leg first. The second part of the name has to do with whether or not our feet are going to be closing or opening. For example, a front leg closing skip means that my front leg is going to close to my other leg to generate the skip. So a front leg closing skip, my front leg would come back to my back leg and my back leg would move back. Now what makes this a skip as opposed to a step is when we are finished, the same foot is in front as when we started. If I were to do the same thing, or roughly the same thing, and move my front foot back, but then after I was finished, my other foot was in front, it would be a step and not a skip. So for us, if the same foot is in front after the technique, it's considered a skip. Some schools talk about the actual shoulder movement, and if the opposite shoulder is in front when we finish, then it would be a step or a skip. Whereas for us, we're solely focused on the foot that's in front when we're done. So within Shin or Kwan, we have 4 basic skips, and I'm going to go over those right now. The first two we'll talk about are our front leg skips. So the first one being our front leg closing skip. So with the front leg closing skip, my front leg is going to move back to my back leg, and my back leg is going to come out. So this is a front leg closing skip, and it causes our body to go backwards. The next one would be a front leg opening skip. In this case, my front leg is going to move first, and it's going to open from my rear leg, and then my rear leg will drag up behind. So a front leg opening skip. The next two are rear leg skips. The first one being a rear leg closing skip, which my rear leg moves up to my front leg and moves me forward. And the second one would be a rear leg opening skip, which the rear leg opens from my front leg and moves us backwards. So that's a total of 4 skips. Rear leg closing skip, front leg closing skip, front leg opening skip, and rear leg opening skip. This way, an instructor can communicate to the student exactly how they want them to move forward or backwards. And they don't have to worry about right or left leg, because whatever foot is in front, the person will move in the correct manner. Alright, we do have 2 specialty skips, and these are both closing skips. And this would be rear leg extended closing skip. And this allows us to cover a much greater distance. So my rear leg is going to come up past my front leg and then skip forward. So again, a rear leg extended closing skip. We also have a front leg extended closing skip, and this is for covering greater distances moving backwards. So my front leg will go past my back leg as I'm retreating from an opponent or simply backing up. So those are a total of our 6 skipping motions. Front and rear leg opening skip, front and rear leg closing skip, rear leg extended closing skip, and front leg extended closing skip. Next, let's talk about stepping. Stepping is pretty straightforward. And when I say step forward, we take our back foot and we move it forward and it becomes our front foot. So a forward step, we would take our back foot and put it in front and it would become our front foot. A backward step, we take our front foot step back and become our rear foot or our back foot. We do have two other steps for moving forward or back, and these are called circular steps. So when we do a regular step, the inside of our legs are basically sliding together when we take the step. With a circular step, we're going to actually put our back leg or front leg, depending on which way we're stepping, on the outside of our leg. So we're almost trying to get our outside of our legs to pass by each other. And when we do that, it actually causes our body to turn in a circle as we're stepping forward, or in this case, as we are stepping backwards. So this is a forward and a backward step. So we have a forward step and a backward step, forward circular step, and backward circular step. Now let's talk about side skipping and side stepping. Within Shin Kwan, we have 4 basic side skips and 2 specialty side skips, just like moving forward and backwards. We always start with the leg that moves first, just like we did in the forward and backward skips. Then we talk about whether or not it opens or closes with the other leg. Then we simply add the word side. For example, a front leg opening side skip, my front leg is going to open from my back, and it's going to go sideways. A rear leg opening side skip, a rear leg closing side skip, and a front leg closing side skip. So just like moving forward and backwards, we are now going sideways. We also have 2 extended skips. We have a front leg extended closing side skip, which just means our front leg is going to break the plane of our rear leg, almost like our legs are crossing over. And this will allow us to move sideways quite a distance. And we also have a rear leg closing extended side skip, where our rear leg goes past our front foot. This allows us to move the other direction a much greater distance. We have 2 basic side steps that we do, a rear leg and a front leg side step. So my front leg side step means my front foot is going to move first. It's simply going to step back on an angle, 45-degree angle, and then my initial rear leg is going to move forward, replacing roughly the other foot when we step. Then I have a rear leg side step, which means my rear leg is going to step first, and my front foot is going to move back, or my front leg will move back. So rear leg side step, and rear leg again. And this time, let me just switch my feet, I have a front leg side step, and again. So that covers all the basic terminology for our skips. It should be noted that you can do these in any stance you want. I was just in a very casual stance when I was doing this. It can be done in a sparring stance, a somewhat deeper, like a more traditional front stance, a walking stance. Almost any of the stances these skips and steps can be done in. Also, each skip and step has this very specific reason for why we would do that, and we'll be covering these in future episodes. Just note that some skips and some steps aren't conducive to doing certain kicks immediately following them. You have to really break down the skips and talk about why they're used, if they're used for moving forward or backwards, or moving forward and attacking, or moving forward and faking, or moving backwards as a fake, and so on. And we'll discuss these more in future episodes.